Hey everybody, Craig here. I just wanted to take a couple minutes, and talk about our truck. I keep falling more and more in love with it with every trip, and we just got back from the trip of a lifetime, a dream trip to a road trip to Alaska in this setup, and learned a lot and improved a lot. And I thought it was a good time before I got everything pulled out to really take a minute and walk you around not just the camper but also the truck and some of the things that we've done to it to improve it. But I'll start with the camper because that's the coolest and the most unique thing about our setup. It's a 4-wheel Campers Project M, and I'll walk you around a little bit. So it's the perfect setup if you've got a truck that you daily drive, and which I do with this Tacoma. It's all aluminum like all the 4-wheel campers, and it's a topper, so it's not a slide in, it's not a full blown camper. You'll see when I open up the back, but it stops right at the bed, so you save a lot of weight. And when you want to go on a trip, you fill it with all your gear, and when you get home, you take all your stuff out, and it's your truck again. So I got lots of attachments here. I got a shovel and axe combo that goes on the side. I got some roto packs. Love and hate these things. I'll get into that, but let's pop her open, and you can see that we, in fact, did just get home because it's filthy. The truck is filthy. The camper is filthy. We rode it hard. And so this isn't a SEMA show parking lot princess. This setup has been used a lot. So I have one of the early Project M's. I think that they now have different mechanisms to open. So it's like a one on each side, a lever or a handle on each side. I have a center pull one, just to twist and pull, and I love that. Because a lot of times, I got my hands full. Fred packs a lot of bags, and I'll be walking up, and I just need that one hand to open it, which is great. It's a little cold today, so my air lifter things, I don't know what you call those, aren't quite holding it up. But that's not the truck's fault. That's just because it's a little cold here in Maine, and it needs a minute to warm up. Let's see if it'll stay. You stay there? No, not yet. Once the sun hits it, it should warm up in a little bit. But so yeah, you just open up the tailgate, get this thing to stick up, and here's the back. So there we go. See, I have a huge fridge for a couple reasons. One, it's awesome that we have the space. It's awesome to have a nice big fridge. This is the Dometic CFX 75 dual zone. So the reason we went with this one is because we feed our dogs frozen food, raw food, and so you have to keep it frozen when you're not, when you're on the road. So we run one side as a freezer and the other side as a fridge. Does it take up a lot of space? Absolutely. If I could go back again, would I get this fridge? I'm not so sure. We've had it now for a couple years, and the plastics seem to be kind of, just with use, kind of compromised a little bit. Like it can be hard to close and stay closed. Anyway, that's another video. I want to start doing more videos about all this gear that we've accumulated over the years, what works, what doesn't, and why. So I figured out, you see some incredible setups with these Project M's, people that build awesome cabinets and drawers and everything, and I love that idea, but I literally have the smallest bed you could get. So I had the smallest Project M camper you could get, and I realized as I started to build out my floor that in a small space, at least with my very limited carpentry skills, in a small space, the more you do, the less you have. At least that's how it seemed. Like the more I started to tack, compartments and stuff onto this OSB floor that I made, the less room I had for stuff. And then I realized, wait a minute, I have this awesome, thanks to, this is one of the best things I ever got issued in the military, was this foot locker. And it's the way I have it set up next to my fridge like this. When we pull into camp, first thing I do is I usually pull this blanket out, and you can use it to kneel on, whatever, if you're getting stuff, pulling bags. Usually, typically, we have like our clothing bags and stuff like stacked up on here, pull those out, and then we pull this, we have just a table here, just like a classic Walmart Ozark Trail table. Pull this puppy out, set that up, and have that right here next to the tailgate or wherever. And then this guy slides out, just, you know, like a deck system. That's what I thought about getting, was one of those deck systems. But this slides out. I can take it all the way out and have it around the campsite if I want to. Or a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just pull it out, and it's all right here. I got batteries, forks, wipes, koozies, and then I got my whole stove and pots, more silverware and cutting boards, like everything you can imagine for a cook setup and a camp setup, all in here, ready to go. And it can stay, like I said, it's plastic, it's really light, you know, and it's tough, it's waterproof. So if you could, once you seal it up, you could leave it out at camp, and even if it rains, you know, this thing has been rained on really hard, and nothing gets in it. I don't know how much they cost. You could look into it. Maybe I could try to put a link somewhere. I'm sure you can buy them on the internet. But I love this thing. This is one of the greatest things I was ever issued. I'm not sure if I was supposed to keep it, but I just kept it. Anyway, that slides in there just like that, and it's home, right? So what I'll do next is pull this out like I just like I do at camp. Here, let me set this down, and then I'll get you guys a look inside the camper. So again, less is more, because now that that's out, right? Look at all this space I have. And if I had, like, I love those deck systems. They're so cool, the drawer systems, but I measured it out, and it would come up to like here, and everything would be underneath, and the only way to get to it would be to open the tailgate. And if you're in the camper, you can't open the tail, you have to get out, drop the tailgate, open it up, and we camp in the cold a lot. It wasn't a good final option. So the only thing I really did, other than build this little floor on 2x4s so I could fit this under there, is this little wall. And even this was kind of silly, because once I was, at least for this trip, we had so much stuff. We were on the road for like 6 weeks, and once I had everything in there, everything just held itself in place. I didn't need this to hold anything in place. And I even put these D-rings, and I put some rings in the wall to, like, I thought, I'll bungee stuff down, but everything was packed so tight in here, like even on a bumpy road or a wobbly trail, like nothing was going anywhere. So I don't know, I don't know if I would do that again. It was nice to just I have the cubby space, so we have like a Kelty double camping chair that fit in there perfectly. That was nice, but maybe I might go back and just make it a little thinner. Anyway, so other stuff we have, just like for ease of use, I have the Goal Zero Yeti 500X, and I'm a big milk crate guy. The price is right on these puppies, right? I mean, all this overlanding and camping gear, it's just, so much of it is so expensive, and it's great. It's all, good stuff. It costs what it costs. But where you can get something like this that is well made. I mean, this got a metal ring around it, and it's sturdy. I've had these for years, all of them. I got 2 black ones over there. And I just attach them with Velcro, just like a Velcro strip. And they stay put. So this sits here, got the fridge running off of that. When we're driving, I run the fridge off the truck, and then I have a big Odyssey battery under the hood. And, just depending on the weather and how hard the fridge needs to work, I can run the fridge off of the battery into the truck for a couple hours around camp, and then I'll plug it into the Goal Zero. But this is great. I've outrun it though. I need something bigger and a little bit more powerful than what I have. but it's, you know, Goal Zero is great, and they got great customer service, so it's no regrets there. But so yeah, let me next step would be to pop it up. I'll pop it up and show you, you know, up in the inside and the different options that you can have, you know, with this configuration. All right. All right, so that's just like probably a little over a minute. I don't know. I'm moving kind of slow today. So, all right, let's get you up here and show you on the inside. So you do need to be, you know, a little agile to climb up on the tailgate. It's not like, you know, walking up a set of stairs into a camper. You know, this does require some flexibility. It's just something to think about. But here we are. And the way I have this set up, and again, we just got back, so don't judge the mess, but this is a double sleeping bag, pillows, bunch of blankets, and we can, Nora, my wife, and our two dogs, Fred and Ruby. Fred's like 40 pounds, Ruby's smaller, she's like 14 pounds. All four of us can get up here with plenty of space, right? And keep in mind, this is the smallest you can get, unless they started making these for, I don't know, like those funny Subaru car truck things. I don't know if you can get a smaller Project M. So, you know, anything you have will be this big or bigger. And the way I have it set up is with, you know, we have this, 4-wheel campers this is an option. This mattress is an option. It's modular, right? There's these 3 pieces, and then there's one big piece up there. And so what's really great about that is you can take these 3 pieces out, and then this segment here, you can see on the edges, picks up. It lifts up, and it slides under the front piece. So I'll do that for you real quick, and you can see the difference. But before I do that, I want to explain why we have it pulled out like this. And the biggest reason is just storage, because on this last trip, we had so many bags and so much gear to travel with that these 3 cushions couldn't fit, you know, underneath, you know, with the camper pulled down, and all of our sleeping bags and stuff wouldn't, you know, like it wouldn't have fit safely. I didn't want to risk damaging the camper by trying to cram all this stuff under there. So what's great about running it like this, when you lose a little bit of wiggle room and headroom underneath, you gain in your bed just being ready to rock, right? So if you travel like us, where, you know, a lot of times we're not spending a couple days at camp. We go in, we get into camp, we have a couple hours to, you know, get settled, have a fire, feed the dogs, feed ourselves, and then we're usually up in bed. Especially because we tend to end up camping usually later in the year. It's just the way it works out with work and with the way we travel. And I like camping in that time of year better. You know, so it gets dark and you have a fire for a little while, and then you're just ready for bed. And it's ready to go. You pop it up and boom, bed, sheets, blankets, everything is all ready to rock. And the dogs love it. As soon as the sun goes down, the dogs are like kind of eyeballing the camper, like, all right, you can go ahead and put us up here and you know, let us get comfy, and you guys come up whenever you're ready. It's really, really fun. And so this options in here are I didn't option this mosquito. Get out of here. thermal liner, which is pretty rad, especially if you live, you know, somewhere where it gets frosty. But this really is a game changer. It'll extend your camping season by you know, months. So I have the thermal liner, which is just an extra layer of insulation. So you have now, instead of, if you didn't have that, you'd have 2 windows, but now I have 3 flaps here, and the windows open up, and you know, it's a screen, and that feels really nice. I love the nice fresh November air. We have a fan. This is a Dometic fan. It's really cool. Pops open, and it'll pull air in and drag air out, and it's got a bunch of different speeds, like three different speeds. That's a bunch. And of course, CO2 smoke detector. And I optioned these lights, which I'm sure are great, but I think it's because of the Goal Zero just doesn't have the juice, or what's more likely is I am wire phobic. I'm not good with wires, and I would be the first to admit it. And I wired up like a little system for it to plug in through like a Anderson pole adapter into a 12-volt adapter into the Goal Zero, and it runs the fan. It runs the fan perfectly, no problem. But when I try to turn these lights on, they're dim. They barely turn on. So, you know, I think again it comes down to that Goal Zero not having the juice, and it comes down to the jarhead with you know, with 5 thumbs on each finger. I just can't figure that stuff out. And I honestly, with lighting, there's so many easy options these days. I have this awesome little Amazon lamp. That thing gets us by. I have another one that runs on D batteries. That's perfect. It's got a magnet on it. You can stick it on the ceiling. You know, I'll get around to getting a better, 4-wheel campers now makes awesome, you know, battery setups that will complement all the accessories that their campers come with. And that wasn't an option when I bought this. I definitely would have gone with that if it was. So, you know, I'll get around to making it a little bit more legit. It's also pre-wired. Another option is pre-wiring for solar. I have that pre-wired for solar. So when the time comes, I get that new battery, I can throw a panel up on the roof, and that would be a real game changer to be able to not only charge off the truck while it's running, but also be able to catch that sunlight and keep batteries charged. That's, you know, that's another level. This is already, for me, by my standards, I'm used to, you know, sleeping out in tents or out under the stars or in my old Land Cruiser, you know, and so this whole setup, to me, it still blows my mind how awesome it is and how nice it is and how comfy you can be, you know, out in the woods. But at the end of the day, for me, you know, it's just a big rolling locker room. You know, this is just a tool to extend your time outdoors and just, you know, live more comfortably and more adventurously. It's a great one. It's a great one for that. So yeah, it's amazing how much I can talk about something that's so simple, but that's the beauty of it. It's like you know, it's like a nice barbecue sandwich. There's not much to it, but when you have a good one, it blows your mind. And that's what I would call this camper. It's like a nice barbecue sandwich. It's just what you need. It's got all the right ingredients, and you know, you'll line up for it around the block. At least I will. So that's up here. I'll show you real quick, because I want to take this stuff out anyway. I'll show you real quick just what it looks like when you pull this, or when you push this segment towards the front. It's pretty rad. It's pretty cool. So it'll be worth showing you. Yeah, I'll do that in a second. Okay, so now you can see I got the bedding out. Now you can see kind of what I was talking about before. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 panels, and you can just slide them up like this. Right, but you see already how much room those would take up. All right, let me get this up there. Bear with me, people. Bear with me. Okay. And so it's just this piece. I'll try to do this as cleanly as I can. All right. So it's just a matter of getting this lip under the mattress, and it slides forward like that, just like that. Super easy. Oh, we had some lights in there, and more cool little camp lights. Let's put this there, and now you have all this room, and it's a lot of room for what it is, right? It's a 5-foot bed Tacoma, right? But now, you know, if you're like when we're doing like just a weekend trip around Maine or, you know, anywhere else, and we're not on the road for 6 weeks, this is how we'll run it. And when we get to camp, if it's buggy or rainy, or we just want to hang out, you know, in the camper, you still feel like you're outside. It's like being on a screened-in porch. You open up all these windows to the screens, and it's gorgeous, but you don't have to worry about wind or bugs or, you know, whatever. You can hang out in here, and you can take one of these panels, put it down on the fridge or on the footlocker, and sit on it and have a nice comfy like couch set up. Set your laptop up, watch a movie, read a book, whatever. And I'm resisting the urge to quote Step Brothers. We all know the line. You can go ahead and say it. Say it with me. So much room for activities. All right, sorry, had to get it out. And so, I mean, I just have another little tote here that's got like more like kind of recovery gear and some backup stuff, just sitting there. And then when we were packed up, I had sitting on top of this was our Jolka shower setup, which was, you talk about a game changer. That thing, I'll do a whole kind of walkthrough on that. That was awesome to have. And then I had our propane tank sitting in here, which I'd love to someday to get a setup where that's on the outside. I know they make those cool, you know, racks for a propane tank on the outside, but it fit right there just fine. But yeah, you can just see again how much room there is in here when you push that bed forward. It's really, really cool. And I love just, you know, just hanging out back here, even at home sometimes, if I'm writing or you know, have some things I want to think about. Sometimes I'll just come out here and pop this up and bring my laptop and just write, you know, and think about, you know, the trips we've been on or the things I'm working on. It's just one of those spaces that kind of makes you get a little excited and kind of jogs your creative side. At least it does mine. Other little things I've done is just these push-on, like, Rubbermaid. I don't know what they are, what brand they are, but you know what I mean. There's those little press-on hooks that you can get anywhere, and they're great. This one is held in there for a really long time, and I've had like all kind of stuff hanging off of it, and it's never gone anywhere. This one's done pretty well. Some of them are better than others. I don't know if it's because of them or if it's because the surface isn't really inviting. But I got this Blue Ridge Overland kind of Molly panel, and, you know, just got stuff hanging off of it, a bottle opener, you know, just whatever you want, GPS thing. And then I got another one here, and this is just hand sanitizer. You know, so this is just what I've done with it. It will change, it will evolve, and that's another great thing about the Project M is that it can, you know, if you get a camper, a slide-in camper, you know, if you get one that's all kitted out, that's what you've got, you know, unless you really want to do like a big change and do a lot of work to it. Like, that configuration is your configuration, and don't get me wrong, they're amazing. They come out of the gate ready to go, and I do see one or two of those in my future, you know, a proper slide-in. But for now, for this guy, you know, when I'm home, I need my truck, and all this stuff comes out, and I can throw firewood back here. I can throw 1,800 pounds of grapes, and that's a very specific number, and that's because I know exactly how many pounds of grapes I can get back here, and it's a whole other story. You know, and it goes back to being your truck, and because it weighs so little, it's just still under 400 pounds. You know, with the exception of the drag from the wind on the highway and stuff, you barely even know it's back there. So it's a really, really great setup that I could obviously talk about for a really long time. But let me do a little bit about the outside, and then I'll get into the truck and some of the things we've done to the truck. Okay. these are more options. Roto packs are great. You know, if budget wasn't a hindrance, I'd have an extended fuel tank and wouldn't even need to worry about these things. They're clunky. They're a little frustrating to maneuver. They're slow to fill your tank, and if it's cold and you know raining and you need to use them, it's just like you feel like they take forever. But a couple times on the Alaska Highway, we were definitely glad to have them. So it's a cool option, and you can see I've gotten a lot of use out of my shovel, and my axe is a mess. It's like a butter knife, but you swing it hard enough, it's still splits. And I went with this. You can option everything. You can option the siding you want to, and I love the black diamond plate. And it's taking a beating, but it just looks cooler when it takes a beating. It's one of those things, you know. And you can option windows too. I went with windows on either side. I think I stand by that. I think the ones you can get an option where it's like a gate or like a little door. That seems pretty cool, but I just don't see myself accessing much from this side. I kind of situate everything towards the back, and I like having the light coming in through the windows, and it's a screen too, so you know you can get air and coming in through there on a hot day. I got the Max Trax mount here on the side and an ARB awning, and up until this last trip, I've loved my ARB awning, but there was a really really frustrating moment somewhere in the Yukon where it was raining, and we pulled it out, and we had a great night under this thing, and it was perfect. We cooked soup underneath it, and you know, it shielded us from the rain, and it was great. And then the next morning, getting it in, I don't know if it's rusted or what, but trying to get one of the arms in, I exhausted my cuss word quota very quickly. So it's tough to. ARB is a great company. They, everything I have from them is great. I'm sure it's just wear and tear. I leave this out all year. On this truck, it won't fit in my garage because it's so tall. So it's out in the elements and here in Maine, taking a beating. So it's probably time to either take it apart and try to fix it, or what I really like is one of those Batwing awnings that extends all the way. I think it's like 180 degrees or whatever. Over the tailgate. That would be really cool. And they don't have like the complicated. It's like a one-person setup, which would be really cool. So that's the camper for the most part. I'm sure, that I could bore you even more with some just different thoughts and different things I'd like to do. But ultimately, what I love most about it is that it's, it really is so configurable. When I go on a mountain biking trip, even if I have a buddy with me, I have a little, with this floor, I can just take a fork mount and mount it here and have two bikes in here. More than that, if I'm not running this fridge, there's just endless options. I'll let you, come up with your own vision. All right, so let's talk about the truck. It's a 2017 Tacoma. Manual transmission. Save the manuals. I'm not a snob about manuals. I just like it. I think it's more fun. I think in this truck, having the option to be able to control your transmission when you're running a camper and adding a lot of weight and bigger tires makes it a little bit more enjoyable. I rented an automatic a couple years ago, and I just it seemed like it was kind of always searching for gears, but it's whatever. It's total preference and ability. Having a manual is really great until you're on 95 trying to get through Jersey, and your hip is sore from pressing that clutch. But it is a lot of fun to drive. And so the most recent thing, I'll start at the front and just talk through it. Most recent thing we've done is a bumper, and I did all the research and all the dreaming and all the scheming on bumpers. Say hi to Fred. Fred's right there. Hey, Freddy. Watching my back. This is his truck. I just drive it. And I'm glad I waited. And really thought it through, because I found this company right when I was about to pull the trigger on a different one. I found this company called Backwoods Adventure Mods, and this is the perfect bumper. For one, they're in stock. They're ready to go. This thing was in the mail and out the door, and we built the truck. We kind of added stuff onto this truck as we were on our way to Alaska. It's just the way the trip came together. So I had this actually sent to our friend's farm in Wisconsin, and we took a day off, and we're hanging out with them, and had a lot of help from my friend Keith, who's a mechanic, helped me put it on. But it is even somebody like me, I'm learning, but I'm very much not mechanically inclined to any degree. But I'm getting there. They have some great YouTube videos, tutorials on how to install this thing. It is a pretty straightforward thing. The scariest thing is cutting. But they make it about as easy as it can be with something like this. So just a little about the bumper. It's only 80 pounds. This is a aluminum like kind of outer shell, and then the heaviest part is what actually bolts into the frame. It's like the winch cradle, and that's your real heavy duty steel. But this aluminum, aluminum is strong, obviously, but it saves you so much weight, and every ounce counts when you have a Tacoma. And if you have a Tacoma, you know what I'm talking about. I got the Pathfinder amber lights. These saved our bacon on the Alaska highway. We had to do some night driving. We tried to avoid it, but we had to do some, and there were multiple times where moose, caribou, Sasquatches just jumping out, and we saw them coming. And so we were able to hit the brakes. I got the Warn, I don't even remember, VR. Got a Warn winch. The VR, it's a 10,000 pounder. I can't remember the exact model. I did have to do a little cutting to get it to fit in there, so beware of that if you're going to end up doing something like this. They say on the Backwoods site that anything 10 inches or less will fit in there, and it does. But with my Tacoma, I had a little weird brace in there that wasn't letting it sit right, so I had to kind of cut this funky little cheap brace, and it wasn't a big deal, but it did trip me up a little bit. So that's the front end. She's a beauty. She's, again, no parking lot princesses here. I use everything I have, I try to take care of it, obviously, but I'm not dodging any puddles, if you know what I mean. So I did do a suspension because of the camper, and because it looks cooler and rides a little better. You don't have to. It's only 400 pounds, so you don't have to do anything to beef up the suspension, but you should, in my opinion, because it's only 400 pounds, but you're gonna throw stuff in there. You're gonna have gear in there. You're gonna have, whatever you're doing, you're gonna have more stuff in there that's gonna add more weight, and it's gonna ride a little bit squattier, and it's gonna change the behavior on the highway, and it's just safer. Even if you don't want to spend the money on redoing the suspension, you could just get airbags. Just do an airbag setup, so you can get the back end up sitting right, and you'll feel a lot safer, a lot more confident on and off the road. So I went with a Dobinson's kit, and it's they say 3 inches. I don't know. I haven't measured it, but again, it has not been. I beat the crap out of this truck, and so I have SPC upper control arms, and if you can even tell, they're sturdy, but they're filthy. And this is my second set of the bushings. I'm not sure that's probably not the right word, but this piece in here, they had to resend me some of those. And there's a Dobinson spring, Dobinson shock up here, and it's again not pretty, but it gets the job done. Yeah, I'd love to have the cool setup with the external reservoirs and And someday I will. You know, I'm eyeballing the Dobinson's MRRs. Those are amazing. I'd love to have some adjustability. But honestly, now that I have the bumper and the winch in the front, I had already had these springs, the higher rated springs up front, and so I didn't have a bumper and a winch for a long time. And now that I have a little weight up front, it feels great. It feels really, really well displaced on and off the road. And tire wise, I have Wild Peak AT 3Ws. I went with these just because of the winter peak. This little peak right here that you know, you see it on the highway signs when you get into certain parts of the country that this is required. You know, these are or suggested. And these are my second set of these. That's how much I like them. And I went with a pizza cutter this time. Yeah, doesn't look as cool maybe from certain angles or Instagram, you know, because they're not as wide. But man, they're quieter. I get way better gas mileage. For the type of off-roading that we do, performance-wise, indistinguishable from, God, I can't remember this. I had the one that everybody kind of gets. It's a wider, you know, same height, but a lot wider. And it was rubbing, and it was heavy, and it was loud, and they wear kind of funky, you know, if you don't, I mean, I missed some rotations. That's probably my fault, but I can't say enough about this tire and specifically this size. So, I'll tell you here, it's 235 85R 16, right? So that's what I'm running here. You know, everybody's got their opinions on tires. I will say what I want to do next, my next biggest priority, besides some sliders, just because I think that's aesthetically and just functionally, I think it'd be cool to have some sliders. But my next big thing for this truck will be, I love the factory wheels, but you need a bigger wheel if you're going to run a bigger brake, and I want some bigger brakes. We do have some weight, and I did notice when I had to stop quick, you know, it's another good thing about having a manual. I can pop that clutch and really slow down while I'm braking with the clutch. But there were some moments where I was like, man, I really feel these brakes starting to fade, and I want some power brakes. It's a really cool brand. And I've heard just amazing stories about what those brakes can do. And so I'm gonna need a bigger wheel to fit those brakes. And so once these tires are worn out, you know, I'm gonna invest in, I'll probably get the next size up that fits on like a 17-inch, but the same pizza cutter style tire on a bigger wheel, so I can run power brakes. So that'll be a must do. So yeah, it's a Dobinson suspension. It's the mainline overland kind of branded one, but it's Dobinson's shocks and springs. And in the back, it's the same thing with the Dobinson's leaf springs and Dobinson shocks. And I have the TRD exhaust, and which is you can't even tell, but TRD exhaust. That's pretty nice. And I have the TRD intake under the hood. And interior wise, you know, it's such a small space, and they make some amazing things for these trucks, like the goose gear, you know, seat deletes, or you can even do your own. I watched so many cool videos of people making their own seat delete back here, and I really thought about it, and then I just was like, it's kind of already tricked out. Toyota did do a cool job with this, especially when you take the bottom of the seat out. So I see, we still got gummy bears and all kind of stuff in here, but when you take the bottom of the seat out, like you can see, I still have it on that other side, right? Just in case we had to pick up a person, have a third passenger. You have all this room, right? And I have cubbies back here. So this was all full of like jackets and dog, you know, stuff. And Ruby, we had a whole kennel sitting right here for Ruby. And then Fred's full like size bed on the other side. And it was perfect. I just feel like when you start doing stuff, you lose potential. You lose options when you really dedicate it as a deleted space. And if that's, you know, if you can do that and you know that's how I'm going to run my truck forever, then that's great. But I want to be able to have a person back here, you know, if I need to. You know, I rent this truck out on outdoorsy, You know, so more, you know, if there's more people than, you know, if there's 3 people or 4 people that want to rent it, you know, we need the seats. So it's, you know, I guess my point is, don't always feel like you have to do something. So often, especially with new trucks these days, the manufacturers are, you know, they're doing some cool stuff right out of the factory. You don't have to, you know, to spend money and have anxiety about feeling like you need something. Most of the time, you know, you've already got more than enough space and more than enough power to do what you want to do. I do love this truck. It's never let me down. She's a beauty. I love the little white shift knob. I did that just as a little extra safety precaution. Somebody jumps in and they don't know what gear, maybe slow them down a little bit. But the stick shift is the ultimate theft deterrent. Yeah, so that's the truck. It's just a quick little walk around. I don't know how many of these walk around videos I've watched over the years. You know, they're a lot of fun, very informative, and I hope this one was informative for you. It was a lot of fun. I could talk about this truck all day, and it's one of my favorite things, is driving around town. People want to know, you know, so I you know, if I'm getting gas somewhere, if I'm coming out of the store and somebody's looking at it, it's always a lot of fun to talk about and open it up and show them, you know, what you can do with these really cool campers. 4-Wheel Campers is an incredible company. They've been really cool to me. They sent me a hat. Thank you, 4-Wheel Campers. They've always you know, been so receptive to questions I've had, issues which have been very minimal, you know, over the years. And so I can't say enough great things about them. When you know, when you buy something like this, you want to know that the company is going to, you know, stick by you, and is going to look out for you, and is going to follow up, you know, on questions and issues. And I can say, just not even just through my experience, but everybody that I know that has a 4-wheel camper has just great stories about the company, and that's amazing. So, you know, this is my Project M, and this is my Tacoma, and there are many like it, but this one's mine. And if you like this video, you know, or if you have other questions, let me know. I'm happy to do more. These are kind of fun. I've got a lot of gear. I've got a lot of experience, and I think, you know, if you guys are into it, I'll probably do some more just videos about different things that we've used when we're camping, when we're traveling, and yeah, if that's something you're into, let me know. All right, thanks, guys.